Joe Rogan went from a lost and broke college dropout to a multi-millionaire who is one of the best and most popular podcasts in the world. He built an empire for himself that no one denies, but there's a strange community dedicated toward criticizing Joe and questioning his interviewing skills. They say his podcasts are boring, he's a terrible interviewer, and some of his recent episodes are uncomfortable to sit through.
I think it's
if you value mountain climbing,
right,
and if the battery's all at the bottom of the car, and you...
So today we're going to take a look at these criticisms and explain why some of them are exactly what makes the JRE so special.
What's going on?
Cold nothingness. Civilization will end. I think that's very exciting. It's true.
What is the ultimate plan?
Death. The kids love that one.
It used to be back in the olden days when the sun was still rising on time every morning and Coca-Cola was free at the petrol pump that people with big brains talked for hours about complicated issues on the radio. One of the best things to come out of that golden age were long radio interviews with the smartest geniuses in the world. Alas, in this digital age, everyone is always watching 30-second videos of dogs doing the Gangnam style and cats smoking yeets. Except, you know, in the podcasting world, where the good old-fashioned radio show has been transplanted into the 21st century. The Joe Rogan Experience is, by any metric, one of the most successful podcasts in the world. You would think that people wouldn't listen to 3-hour conversations led by a college dropout from Boston who used to convince people to dive into a tank filled with cow's blood for a living, but they do. Like a lot.
300 million downloads in a month. It's an unmanageable number in terms of like reading comments or trying to pay attention to what they want. It's very strange.
Joe Rogan has interviewed everyone from scientists to comedians to politicians to athletes to public intellectuals and tons of people that defy simple classification. He gets away with talking to people that everybody loves and talking to people that everybody hates, but most of the time he talks to people that you've never even heard of.
I want you all the time. I just want you all the time. And in exchange, I'll give you some money.
Really
It's
fucking
love.
weird.
It's real love. It's the love.
Rogan seems to exist in 1,000 worlds at once. He's a comedian, a martial artist, a sports commentator, a nutrition expert, a conspiracy theorist, a hunter, to name only a few of his interests.
We're all just monkeys, bro.
DMT is like a chemical doorway to another dimension.
It's a mind-cleansing run.
I want that.
I was thinking about going bow hunting this weekend.
DMT. Dr. Rhonda Patrick's a low-key babe.
Nature.
But most of the time, when he has people on his podcast, he knows very little about the things they're talking about. This is of course normal, as that is the kind of thing an interviewer does, but why then is Rogan so popular and not maybe an actual journalist trained to do these kinds of interviews? Why is Joe Rogan, who has no formal training in this field, considered one of the best and most popular talk interviewers in the world? Well, what if it's precisely because he is not qualified?
Yeah, but the N-word, you won't say it. Look at you. Say it.
Nice.
Joe Rogan is pretty rich, a lot richer than most of his comedy or sports commentating friends, and the thing is, he was never meant to be rich. He became rich by accident.
When Fear Factor came along, two things I thought. One, it was going to be canceled immediately. I was really convinced.
It went on forever.
Forever. Yeah, I was like, this is no way this is going to last. This is crazy. It was a generous amount of money. I was like, okay, if I do this and I keep doing this, I don't have to do other things. Like, I can be free. There was this physical weight that lifted off of me, where I didn't have to worry, how am I going to pay my rent next month?
Yeah.
How am I going to pay my gas? How am I going to
Sure.
Because that was I went from that to having some money.
Because the show's success was so questionable, Rogan's agent was able to get him a very favorable deal. When the show then blew up to insane levels of success, Rogan was properly rich. He realized, hey, wait a minute, I have fuck you money now. I can do whatever I want. So on Christmas Eve of the year 2009, he sat down with his friend Brian Redban and just recorded a podcast because he wanted to. Joe Rogan has always had a lot of interests, and as his show gained momentum, he discovered that instead of simply reading books about a given subject matter, he found himself in a position where being a celebrity allowed him to get in touch with a lot of different experts. He didn't have a list of questions prepared, he did not confer with a panel of experts before interviewing the one in front of him. He simply sat down and used his charisma to have a conversation with them.
I don't interview anybody. I'm not interviewing you, am I?
Nope.
I'm not an interviewer. I suck at that. I've kind of interviewed Ron Miscavige yesterday. I talk to people, and I record it. That's it.
It's the kind of thing that most people just do when they hang out with their friends. And by not acting like a journalist, asking questions with a purpose, he removes the personal distance between himself and his subjects. Essentially, he acts like he's their friend, thereby becoming relatable to the audience, which is strange when you consider how different his life is from the average person.
If there was as many chimps as there were people, you would never be able to get to your car. They would mug you every chance they got. They would rip your feet off and your ass. If you don't think chimps will steal babies and eat them, you haven't been paying attention to the literature. Crazy 800-pound silverback bursting through the tree.
Being this kind of Renaissance everyman character allows him to ask the questions that the audience would ask. The long format of his show allows the people he interviews to say what they want to say without editing for brevity, and the fact that he does the whole thing on some private compound in Los Angeles allows him to talk to whomever he wants to talk to without fear of reprisal from his sponsors.
If I have some real thoughts and I don't express them because I'm worried about job opportunities, like I'm already in prison, whether I like it or not.
Joe Rogan never tried to create a podcast that would make it big. It just sort of happened because he was already successful, but remained relatable. And ironically, he remained relatable by not trying to be relatable. This honesty and transparency, the rawness of his podcast, is what has allowed so many people to trust the Joe Rogan experience and take it seriously. Even if the host tries to bring chimpanzees and DMT into every conversation.
All these patterns and this beautiful feeling that you get. The 5-MeO DMT is like this powerful, fucked up. And you used to be able to buy that stuff.
Joe Rogan's conversational interviewing style is not suited for every kind of interview. It's doubtful if he could do the kind of investigative digging that journalists like Jeremy Paxman do. But that's not why people tune into the Joe Rogan experience. In a world where everything is fast, short, and digestible, where every aspect of entertainment is planned, polished, and scripted by huge production companies, the Joe Rogan experience is a welcome relief from the standard factory fare. It feels like we're getting a look at actual, real people, and it turns out that that's something audiences are willing to set aside a lot of time for.
It's entirely possible.
Hey, I'm the other banana. Speaking of Joe Rogan, did you know that yesterday he tweeted out, "Burger Krieg is a walking encyclopedia"? Who's that person? Glad you asked. He's the guy who wrote this video and did that amazing voiceover. So check out his channel. Joe Rogan enjoys watching his informative videos when he's eating a meal or relaxing before bed. Burger was recently featured on Nerd City. I mean, if that's not the greatest compliment you could ask for, I don't know what is. So go subscribe right now and give him some love. My goal is to make him reach 23,000 subscribers. We had a lot of fun working on this video and we hope that you've enjoyed it. Now subscribe, please.